Welcome to Fantasy Audiobook, Jujutsu Kaisen. Gojo family swordsmith refuses to be cut in half. Chapter 91. Sheer, you can't leave the family. The moment Zenin Sheer released his pressure and exposed his strength, the people of Zenin Sheer were already aware of Zenin Sheer's inner thoughts. Zenin really wanted to leave, because he was ready to leave, so he no longer bothered to hide his strength in his heart. Zenin Zebi and Zenin Fan released their own spells at the same time, preparing to stop Zenin Shire. However, the next second, a scene that shocked them even more happened. Zenin Sheer actually merged directly into the shadow silently before their eyes. Just now, when the two of them launched the spell, Zenin was already whispering the beginning of Huatian Quangu's explanation. The flower wind is in chaos, the flower god is crying. The sky is in chaos, and the devil is laughing. The flower sky is crazy. Zenin Sheer released Huatian Quangu's technique Shadow Ghost. This time, he was not prepared to use his physical power to subdue Zenin and Zenin Fan. He wanted the two of them to see that the shadow magic that the Zenin family had always longed for could be mastered by a waste, like himself with no magic power through the Zanpakuto Kaden Quanko. Just like that, Zenin disappeared into the shadows out of thin air. This scene completely subverted the imagination of Zenin and Zenin. They could not understand how a person without spells and spells could disappear out of thin air. But, the next second, they realized that Zenin did not have any techniques, but he had a Zanpakuto that was rare in the world. He could use Zanpakuto's techniques. So, is this Zanpakuto's technique to hide one's body? Zenin Naobi and Zenin Shan had such a question in their minds, but then they realized that they had guessed wrong. They suddenly felt as if their bodies had been pierced by a sharp blade. Watch your back, watch your shadow. Zenin Shinsuke's voice sounded, Zenin Naoto and Zenin Shan's face changed, and the feeling of penetration in the body became a reality. The tips of two black shadow scimitars were exposed from their abdomens. These two top masters of the Zenin family never thought that after using the surgery, they would be crushed by a person without any magic power, pressure. The two turned their heads subconsciously, and the strange scene in front of them shocked them completely. Zenin slowly emerged from the shadows of the two men, with two black scimitars in his hands, one long and one short, thrust straight into the shadows they cast on the ground. The location where the shadow was stabbed by the scimitar was exactly the same as the location where the two men's abdomens were pierced. What kind of shadow magic is this? Close black lens bracket. Shadow magic has a very high status in the Zenin family, and any magic that can be related to shadow magic can receive extremely high attention. Zenin Shinsuke is a vivid case. But Zenin Zebi and Zenin Fan never thought that Zenin could even use shadow magic. Although the origin of this shadow spell may come from the pair of Zanpakuto in his hands, this is also a genuine shadow spell. They were defeated by a man with zero magic power and no spells using shadow magic. Shadow Ghost. What does it feel like to be attacked by a shadow? What exactly can shadow magic bring to you? Are you stuck in your own ways and expecting your descendants to give birth to that kind of ancestral magic? The stench of decay. Zenin pulled out the Huatian Quangugu from the ground. Zenin Fan and Zenin directly felt that their physical strength was constantly draining from the body. However, the physical pain was not the biggest blow to the two of them. The biggest blow they received came from the Zenin family's most proud technique. The two of them were genuine first-level jujutsu masters, but they were defeated in the art by Zenin, who had no magic power at all, and they were defeated by the art of a Zanpakuto. What's the name of this pair of swords? A crazy person. The thought came to Zenin Shan's heart that these pair of Zanpakuto were born for the Zenin family. This kind of ghostly shadow magic should only belong to the Zenin family. However, it is a pity that Zenin Sheer has proved with his strength that he is the strongest of the Zenin family. Even if he doesn't have any magic power, with the blessing of Zanpakuto's magic, he has been able to overwhelm the entire family. On the other side, Zenin Shinsuke and Zenin looked at the scene in a daze, their mouths wide open as if they could swallow a whole watermelon. They had felt the pressure of Zenin before and knew that he was very powerful. However, they did not expect that the family elders Zenin Fan and Zenin were not the enemies of Zenin. The image of Zenin Sheer holding a pair of black swords was completely imprinted in their minds. Is this the Zanpakutos? Is this the Zanpakuto that Gojo Ming forged for Zenin? Is this the Zanpakuto that suits Zenin's cage magic? Zenin is just one of the spells, and it has already instantly killed Zenin and Zenin fan. As a bystander, Zenin Shinsuke knew that in this battle, Zenin's physical fitness was still very important. However, such a powerful body coupled with shadow magic has raised Zenin's ability to a level that is difficult for normal people to reach. The most important thing is that judging from the Zanpakudo that Gojo Ming forged before, basically every Zanpakudo has more than one technique. This Zanpakudo named Huashin Kwangu must also have other special techniques. Zenin Shinsuke's heart is full of desire for the Zanpakudo. He also wishes to have a Zanpakudo. If a Jujutsu master possesses a Zanpakudo, it is equivalent to having an excellent trump card, which is equivalent to doubling his strength. However, one can imagine how difficult it is to forge a cursed tool as rare as the Zanpakudo. Unless one is close to Gojo Ming, it is impossible for outsiders to obtain the Zanpakudo. Why is Zenin Shear able to be favored by Gojo Ming? Is it just because Zenin Shear and Gojo Ming are both carriers of heavenly restriction? Zenin Shinsuke felt a strong sense of jealousy towards Zenin in his heart. However, he was unable to do anything at this time. Zenin Naohito and Zenin Shan's fate had completely shocked him. For the first time, Zenin Shinsuke clearly understood that he was no match for Zenin Shinji. I think of the scene when Gojo Ming left her alone and took the initiative to say hello to Zenin. A sense of frustration suddenly emerged in Zenin Shinsuke's heart. Could it be that at that time, Gojo Ming had already discovered how extraordinary Zenin was, so he acted so rudely towards him? What a vision! Watching Zenin Shear start to solve the problem, watching Zenin Shear return to his room to pack his things, watching Zenin Shear leave the Zenin family mansion. Zenin Shinsuke and Zenin Jinichi seemed to have finally taken back control of their bodies. Zenin Shinsuke fell into silence. Zenin, on the other hand, forcibly suppressed his inner excitement and began to direct people to rescue Zenin and Zenin Shan. My opportunity has come. Shear, brother, thank you very much. After all, they have not completely left the Zenin family, and Zenin's attack was not fatal. Although Zenin Fan and Zenin Zibi were pierced through the abdomen by the Shadow Ghost's attack, overall they were only slightly injured. Zenin's heart is full of regrets. As the representative of the Zenin family, he missed the precious stone of Zenin. Are the Zenin family, who only believe in mantra power, really on the right path? Are Jujutsu masters really the future of mankind? If the power of magic is really respected, then what kind of aliens like Zenin are? Compared with Zenin Fan chattering about the power of Zanpakudo style, Zenin Nabi people are more able to recognize Zenin Shiji's true strength. During the fight just now, he had realized that Zenin could defeat him even without using the Zanpakudo Kaden Kwanko's technique, just relying on the strength of his body. This genius of the Zenin family actually hates the entire Zenin family so much. Zenin's heart felt complicated, but based on comparison, if I were in Zenin Shire's position, it seems that I might behave more fiercely than Zenin Shire, right? Zenin glanced at Zenin Shinsuke, who was still lost in thought, and sighed silently. Today's battle will probably have a greater impact on Zenin Shinsuke, right? No one would have thought that an ordinary person with no magic power could possess such powerful power. For Zenin Shinsuke, who has always been the Kirin child of the Zenin family, his own past experiences are probably just a joke. Beside him, Zenin Fan's expression was distorted. You must get the Zanpakudo that belongs to the Zenin family. These crazy bones are prepared for the Zenin family, and they must not be taken over by Zenin. The Zanpakudo will definitely subvert the entire Jujutsu world in the future. If Gojo Naru cannot be won over, then he must be killed. Even if it means completely turning against the Gojo family, it is worth it. If Gojo Naruto is really allowed to develop, the threat from Gojo Satoru in the future will probably not be greater than that of Gojo Naruto. If we don't take action now, the Zenin family may have to survive under the suppression of the twin stars of Gojo Satoru and Gojo Naruto in the future. 50 years. If you want to be like the Kamo family, Zenin, as the representative of the family, you are a sinner. The distorted face of Zenin Fan has begun to speak indiscriminately, constantly throwing the blame on Zenin's direct neighbors. He was not as open-minded as the Zenin people, and could not accept that he had lost to a junior member of the family, and that he had lost so miserably. He did not admit the power of Zenin, but attributed all the reasons to the Zanpakudo. However, you must know that he was the source of the entire conflict. Zenin blew his beard, a mocking smile appeared on his face. It's too late to start talking about this now. You had the opportunity to cooperate with Gojo Naru before, but you chose to make it pornographic. Now you are thinking about the threat of Zanpakuto. If I remember correctly, that's not what you said at the time. Close black lens bracket. Can't anyone with a discerning eye see the potential of the twins Gojo Satoru and Gojo Naruto? Since two Six Eyes were born at the same time in this era, these two Six Eyes will definitely become the protagonists of this era. Close black lens bracket. Instead of having time to blame the blame here, it is better to clean up the family and change the rules of the entire family. Otherwise, even if a Zenin Shear is born in the family who can rival Six Eyes godson, he will eventually be eliminated by the entire family. Influenced by the family atmosphere, you may hate the Zenin family. Close black lens bracket. Zenin people began to reflect deeply for the first time. If I had firmed my mind when I first communicated with the head of the family, would I have been able to change Zenin's status in the Zenin family? Will Zenin never come to this point? Shear's power cannot be achieved overnight. It is obvious that he has been so strong in the past few years. But why would Shear hide his power and choose to leave the Zenin family at this moment? There is no doubt that the Zanpakuto is one of his strengths. However, the most critical factor is probably the human factor. I am afraid that everything is because of Zenin's new friend, Gojo Ming. Zenin sighed. The entire Zenin family really seemed like a mess right now. Who among the younger generation has the potential to compete with the Gojo family? Zenin Shinsuke. I have been beaten to death. Zenin. Seeing Zenin greeting his servants with high spirits, Zenin shook his head again. How could he not see Zenin's thoughts? But, can such a person really have the ability to become a family representative? Zenin, who didn't know what Zenin's direct neighbors thought, was currently performing his duties as an agent. In the current situation where Zenin is a direct neighbor, Zenin fan is injured, and Zenin Shinsuke is unwilling to take charge, he is currently the person with the highest status in the Zenin family. And the reason for all this comes from his own younger brother Zenin. For the first time, he felt that he had an advantage in the competition with Zenin Shinsuke. What if you don't have talent? So what if the spell is not strong? As long as Zenin is still around, he will have a hidden advantage in the Zenin family. Even with Zenin as a foreign aide, he can really try to compete for the position of Zenin's representative. After all, the strongest person in the Zenin family is no longer Zenin's immediate neighbor, but his own younger brother Zenin, isn't it? At this moment, Zenin is already thinking about how to build momentum for himself. This kind of opportunity is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for him. On the night that Zenin Jinji left Zenin's house, information about Gojo Naruto Shirayuki's third technique, White Sword, Zenin Jinji's true strength, and Zanpakuto Kaden Kwanko's technique had begun to spread in the Jujutsu world. Under Zenin's deliberate manipulation, the Zenin family's current predicament was completely exposed to the Jujutsu world. At this time, Gojo Ming and Zenin, the protagonists of the whole incident, were staring at each other in the forge house. Are you, the Zenin family, so unscrupulous? Do you tell anyone about such scandalous things? After hearing the news, Gojo Ming realized what Zenin had done after returning to Zenin's house. How does it seem that Zenin left the Zenin family earlier because of his intervention? I just went back to get something. Zenin gave Gojo Ming a faint look. What the Zenin family is planning to do has nothing to do with him. He doesn't want to have anything to do with the Zenin family for the time being. Okay. Gojo sighed, looked at the bills in the bag in front of him, and no longer struggled with this issue. He didn't expect that Zenin Shear, who was not taken seriously in the Zenin family, actually had so much savings. How? Isn't this future dog gambling tyrant still obsessed with boat gambling? In any case, Wanshiwu's startup capital should be considered available. Kamo home. Listening to the rumors about the Zenin family, Kamo was really shocked. Because they have never seen the power of heavenly restriction, they are skeptical that a person like Zenin, who has no magic power, can defeat a Jujutsu master. However, this kind of thing came from within the Zenin family. It is unlikely that the Zenin family would use the reputation of the family representative and high-level officials as a stepping stone for Zenin Shire, right? In Kamo's opinion, Zenin's strength may not be his own ability, but rather the brand new Zanpakuto Kaden Kwanko that Gojo Ming forged for Zenin. Did Gojo come up with this name? Hearing the name of the Zanpakuto passed down from the Zenin family, he couldn't help but sigh. The name of this crazy guy sounds very cool. Originally, he thought that the Zanpakuto forged by Gojo Ming would only be used internally by the Gojo family. Unexpectedly, Gojo Ming actually forged it for the juniors of the Zenin family. Moreover, this junior with no magic power actually directly defeated Zenin Naobi and Zenin Shan with this Zanpakuto. Sure enough, Gojo Naru cannot continue to develop like this. At present, it seems that the Zanpakuto forged from Gojo Naru's hands are basically not parallel imports. Even the weakest red locust currently in Gojo Shunichi's hand has the power to temporarily repel the special cursed spirit. Furthermore, Gojo Naru's Soda Shirayuki actually hides a third type of powerful attack technique. It's so well hidden. Kamo Gen continued to analyze the information collected, and the shock in his heart continued to increase. At the same time, his murderous intention towards Gojo Naru became more and more serious. A week has passed since Yakishang sneaked into Gojo's house, and Gojo is still very active. It seems that Yakishang really hasn't found a chance. Close black lens bracket. You must go to Gojo's house to find out the situation of the burning phase. If that doesn't work, you must recover the burning phase in time. Close black lens bracket. This cursed object has been passed down from the clan leader. It has secretly helped the clan deal with many troublesome people, so it cannot be lost in his own hands. Kamo really made up his mind and immediately started preparing a greeting card for Gojo's house. The Yagayu family. Yusuke-sama, have you seen it? This is the power of Gojo's Zanpakuto. An ordinary person can defeat a first-level Jujutsu master with a Zanpakuto. After receiving the news, Yagayu Hidetsuji could not hide his inner shock. He is a first-level Jujutsu master, the top person in the entire Jujutsu world. Zenin is a first-level Jujutsu master. He has the ability to project spells and is even more powerful than himself. And such a person actually fell in front of a person without magic power. If this happened a month ago, he would never believe it. However, now, he believes that this kind of thing is true, and the fundamental reason is the three words mentioned in the news, Zanpakuto. After being rescued by Kiyomizu, Yagayu Hidetsuji praised the cursed tool such as Zanpakuto so much that it made the Yagayu clan's ears tingle. However, this time, Yagayu Yusuke really realized the power of the Zanpakuto. After all, Yagayu Shuchi had just said it in vain before, and he couldn't tell whether it was true or false. However, this time there is a reference. The two strong men of the Zenin family lost to an ordinary person holding a Zanpakuto. This kind of thing was enough to raise the reputation of the Zanpakuto to a new level. If Zemin can obtain a Zanpakuto, will he also become as powerful as a Jujutsu master? The Yagayu family's Kendo master does not know Jujutsu, which has always been a regret for the Yagayu family. Therefore, Yagayu Zemin has been obsessed with Kendo and carefully polished his skills. This can be regarded as finding another kind of sustenance. However, in this era where Jujutsu is king, Kendo has long been in decline. But now, the appearance of the Zanpakuto has completely provided another path for the Yagayu family. Yagayu Zemin cannot use techniques, but his Zanpakuto can use techniques. In this case, wouldn't a swordsman plus a Zanpakuto be roughly equivalent to a Jujutsu master? Facing the owner's thoughts, Yagayu Shuji glanced at Yagayu Yusuke hesitantly and whispered. That's true, but the Gojo family wouldn't let something like the Zanpakuto be easily leaked, right? After all, there are only 4 Zanpakutos currently existing in the entire world. Yagayu Hidetsuji has a pessimistic attitude towards Yagayu Yusuke's ideas. However, Yagayu Yusuke did not think so. Since the person without magical power in the Zenin family can obtain the Zanpakuto, this means that Gojo Ming does not regard the Zanpakuto as a forbidden weapon of the Gojo family. This is indeed difficult, but we still need to work hard. Speaking of this, Yagayu Yusuke suddenly stood up and came to Yagayu Hideji's side. Hidetsuki, as the strongest member of the Yagayu family and the only first-level Jujutsu master of the Yagayu family, you must shoulder the responsibility of revitalizing the family. Master Shunichi of the Gojo family saved you before. We should still thank others, right? Besides, you are both first-level Jujutsu masters, so you should be close to each other. What is the master of the family planning? Yagyu Hidetsuji has a clear family background. However, he did not object to this matter. Indeed, as the head of the family said, this matter is indeed difficult, but if you don't try, there will only be no results. I understand, Master. I will communicate more with Master Shunyi. I heard that young Master Gojo Ming of the Gojo family is also involved in Kendo. Perhaps, we can get closer through Kendo. Yagyu Hideji put forward his inner plan. After all, the Yagyu family is just a small sorcerer family, and there is nothing that the Gojo family values. In his opinion, in the entire Yagyu family, perhaps only the Tsuki no Sho, left by the founder Yagyu Jubei may have moved Gojo Naru's heart. Although, Tsuki no Sho may seem like a military book to outsiders, in fact, it also contains various exquisite swordsmanship, which can be regarded as the unique swordsmanship of the Yagyu family. If Gojo Ming is really interested in Kendo, maybe Tsuki no Sho will really be of some use. However, if the rumors are wrong and Gojo Ming is not interested in Kendo, then Tsuki no Cho will be of use to Gojo Ming. It's probably just waste paper. Seeing that Yagyu Yusuke was still hesitating, Yagyu Hideji also shook his head secretly. He is not good at Kendo. If it weren't for Jujutsu's amazing talent, he might not have a chance to stand out in the Kendo family of the Yagyu family. Therefore, he does not take things like the leakage of swordsmanship skills that seriously. If this thing can be used to exchange for another first-level Jujutsu master for the family, this is the most important thing for the Yagyu family. Okay, alright. Yagyu Yusuke narrowed his eyes slightly, pondered for a moment, and finally made up his mind to find a Zanpakuto for Yagyu Zeman even if he uses Tsuki no Sho. Master, I know what to do. Yagyu Shuji nodded. The head of the family still had the vision to see the crisis in the Yagyu family. At the same time, he also had the courage to dare to make such an attempt. In this case, he must do his best for the revitalization of the Yagyu family. Ieri family. Shoko, did you see the Zanpakuto successfully forged with your own eyes this time? After learning the news from Shoko, Ieri Anemitsu was also a little shocked. He also didn't expect that his daughter would already be involved with Gojo Naru and the others, and could even observe the forging of Zanpakuto in person. Is there anything special about Naru-kun's process of forging a Zanpakuto? Although Ieri Anemitsu knew that this was Gojo Ming's secret, he still couldn't help but want to pry into the situation. Hearing his father's question, Shoko looked up at his father in confusion, thought for a few seconds, and realized that Gojo Naruya didn't tell him to keep it a secret, so he didn't hide it from Ieri Anemitsu in the end. The forging of the Zanpakuto requires existing finished cursed tools as materials. However, it seems that these are just the basis of the Zanpakuto. The most important thing is that Gojo Ming seems to have injected soul into these Zanpakuto. Ieri Shoko explained according to his own understanding. Soul. Ieri Anemitsu is a little confused. Does cursed tool still have a soul? Has Gojo Ming, a 6-year-old child, already been exposed to techniques related to the soul level? Shouldn't this be true? I don't know what happened to Sota Shirayuki and Senbon Sakura before, but Zenin's pair of wild bones really made me realize that the Zanpakuto should be conscious. The moment Zenin came into contact with the Zanpakuto, he had already mastered the name of the Flower Sky Crazy Bone, and he also seemed to have learned the technique of the Flower Sky Crazy Bone. According to Gojo Ming's explanation, it seems that Zenin Shear and the former owner of Huaishin Kwangu are very compatible. Therefore, the memory left in the Zanpakuto helped Zenin Shear. Ieri Shoko's explanation once again conveys an important message. Does the Zanpakuto have an original owner? Ieri felt like she had 100,000 whys, constantly asking questions to her daughter. I don't know the specific situation, but according to what Gojo Ming said, these Zanpakuto should all have their original forms. Gojo Ming just revealed the existing Zanpakuto, so I said, Gojo Ming is the key to the Zanpakuto. Even if he understands other techniques, outsiders should not be able to replicate the Zanpakuto's forging method. Ieri Shoko has guessed his father's inner thoughts and knows that his father also has the ambition to revitalize the family with the help of the Zanpakuto. However, she knew this was unrealistic. That's why she told her father all these things to dispel his thoughts. Is that true? The key to a Zanpakuto is Gojo's sound, not the forging technique. Ieri Anemitsu sighed. He had thought about this possibility before, but now that it was confirmed, he still felt a little disappointed. But think about it, if such a special cursed tool can be forged by forging techniques, then the status of the Cursed Tool Masters Association will not be so embarrassing. After getting a lot of information from Shoko, Ieri felt that it was worth sending Shoko to Gojo's house this time. At least, I know many things firsthand, which is much better than others hearing about it. Shoko, do you know that the reason why Zenin defeated the senior officials of the Zenin family this time was because of the Zanpakuto Kaden Kwanko technique? Ieri Inamitsu consulted Shoko about the rumors he heard. In the past few days, he had also heard that Shoko was helping the Gojo brothers with their treatment, and he seemed to have had some contact with Zenin. Recalling that his father had just mentioned Zenin's deeds, Ieri Shoko fell into a brief silence and then whispered. "Father, Zenin is very strong. Perhaps the Zanpakuto Kaden Kwangun also played a role in this incident, but I think Zenin may be able to do this even without the Zanpakuto." Shoko's words made Ieri Inamitsu's eyes widen. What's the meaning? Zenin is very strong. How strong can an ordinary person without magic power be? Could it be that the Zanpakuto played a key role in this matter? During this period, Gojo Satoru, Gojo Ming and Gojo Shun are all learning taijutsu from Zenin. Zenin has a physical fitness that far exceeds that of ordinary people. Even a jujutsu master can only admit defeat despite Zenin's powerful body. At least Uncle Shun recognizes Zenin's strength. And, the most important thing is that Gojo Ming also recognized Zenin Shijiru very much, so he forced Gojo Satoru to accept Zenin Shijiru's training. Zenin Naohito-sama may be really strong, but with the cooperation of Zenin Shiji's strong body and Zanpakuto Kaiden's crazy bone, it is not surprising that he will lose to Zenin Shiji. Mentioning this, Ieri Shoko seemed to have thought of something. "Father, Gojo Naru's physical strength also surpasses Gojo Satoru. I think that heavenly restriction may not really be curse. God took away the magic power of Gojo Ming and Zenin Shier, and gave them unparalleled bodies. So, the Zanpakuto is the icing on the cake for Zenin Cursed Tool. If you mistakenly think that Zenin is an ordinary person without a Zanpakuto, you will definitely suffer a big loss in the future." Ieri nodded, having a new understanding of Zenin, an ordinary person recognized by the world. At the same time, such an extremely powerful person is surrounded by Gojo Ming, which also proves Gojo Ming's personal charm. You know, Gojo Ming is only 6 years old at the moment. It is hard to imagine how many fans will appear around him when he truly becomes an adult. Ieri Inamitsu thought of the cursed object that he had peeled off before, and the mastermind behind the killing of Gojo Ming was probably aware of Gojo Ming's future potential. However, I still underestimate the Gojo family. Gojo Ming is not the unknown pseudo Six-Eyes son of God before. Now, he also has a group of solid supporters in the Gojo family. Close black lens bracket. This time when he went to Gojo's house, he also felt the change in the atmosphere of the entire Gojo house. Before, he thought that Gojo Ming's situation would be more difficult after Gojo Shangyan became the representative of the Gojo family. What surprised him was that Gojo Shangyan didn't take any action against Gojo Ming after taking the stage. It seems that supporting Gojo Naru has become a politically correct event for the entire Gojo family, comparable to supporting Gojo Satoru. Thinking of this, Ieri felt a little regretful. If I had agreed to the previous marriage request made by the head of the Gojo family, would the Ieri family also be able to benefit from Gojo Ming's favor? The strength of Huaishin Kwangu should also be very strong, and it is a very special double sword. It is very suitable for Zenin. I am also looking forward to what kind of Zanpakuto Gojo Ming will build for me. Shoko sighed again while eating her snack. This sentence once again made Ieri Daoguang's expression stunned, and then an expression of ecstasy appeared on his face. "Shoko, you said Naru-kun is also going to help you forge a Zanpakuto?" Ieri Daoguang suppressed the excitement in his heart and confirmed in a low voice. "Yeah, that's right. However, he may have to spend some time looking for the materials for the Zanpakuto." "It shouldn't be that fast, right?" Ieri Shoko responded, then continued eating nuts with concentration. Ieri Inamitsu thought of what Shoko said just now. Gojo Ming needed the cursed tool as a material to forge the Zanpakuto, and immediately answered. "What kind of materials are needed? Dad can also help Mingjun find them." After learning the news, Ieri showed even more urgency than Shoko. I don't know, I didn't ask. Shoko didn't even raise his head, his eyes still focused on the snacks in front of him. A trace of regret appeared on Yeri Anemitsu's face. Although Gojo Ming was just a boy, he was also a man. He knew, however, that men were forgetful, and the promise to Shoko might just be a casual remark by Gojo Ming. If it were something else, Ieri Anemitsu might not care too much. But this is a Zanpakuto. There are currently only 4 in existence, and although there may be more in the future, they are still extremely rare cursed tools. Now that Gojo Ming agreed casually, he had to make this happen. Ahem. Ieri Anemitsu coughed lightly and said to Shoko. Shoko, since Naru-kun said he would help you forge the Zanpakuto, then we can't leave everything to Naru-kun, right? As for this material, let our family provide it. When you go to Gojo's house later, remember to mention it to Mingjun, and Dad will help you collect cursed tools that meet the requirements. Hearing these words, a trace of doubt appeared on Yeri Shoko's young face, but then she nodded. Although Shoko is much more mature than her peers, she still doesn't realize the complexity of adults and men, and just regards it as her father's concern. Well, okay, I will ask Gojo Ming about it later. Indeed, it is quite difficult to find materials. The materials used by Zenin to forge the Huaishin Kwangu were also provided by him. After saying this, Ieri Shoko stopped paying attention to Ieri Anemitsu and devoted himself wholeheartedly to the snack business. Okatsu family. Ever since he met Gojo Naru, Okatsu visitors have been paying close attention to the information about the big 3 sorcerer families. Originally, he didn't care too much about Gojo's distant relatives. He went to Gojo's house before because of a coincidence, and he happened to be in the same city. Unexpectedly, I met an interesting relative. Gojo Ming, a person who changed his mind. Before, he just wanted to be an ordinary person, and he actually didn't like the profession of Jujutsu master too much. However, after experiencing the confrontation between Gojo Ming and Zenin Shear, and seeing the magical Zanpakuto, Okatsu felt that his bloodline should be passed down. He knows his own strength very well and is actually not weak in the entire Jujutsu world. The most fundamental reason why he has not emerged yet is that he is too low-key. He does things like exorcising cursed spirits casually and has not joined the Jujutsu Masters Association. But now that he has made changes, naturally, he has to slowly integrate into this Jujutsu Master Society. The big 3 sorcerer families of Gojo, Kamo and Zenin are the ones he can't get around. Zenin did such a thing, and the Zenin family didn't even say that they would expel him from the Zenin family. It seems that Zenin's strength is really extraordinary. When he fought with Ming before, he really didn't use all his strength. However, Zenin actually already owns a Zanpakuto. Moreover, this Zanpakuto seems to be related to the Zenin family's shadow magic. This is a bit fun. What kind of decision will the Zenin family make? I feel like I haven't seen anything interesting in my travels. Why don't you go visit Ming and Satoru? After all, they are distant relatives, so communicating with each other shouldn't be a big problem, right? Okatsu tourist talked to himself, convincing himself to divert to Tokyo. Anyway, he will not admit that his real target is Gojo Ming's Zanpakuto. Zenin home. After knowing that the scandal within the family was exposed, Zenin's expression became more gloomy, while Zenin's immediate neighbor's heart was filled with helplessness. Only a few people at the scene knew about Zenin Shire's incident. Naturally, he and Zenin Shan would not leak such a thing. Then, only the other 2 people at the scene were suspected. After the previous battle, Zenin Shinsuke has been in seclusion. He was deeply hid by Zenin and is still adjusting. Then, the only suspect is Zenin. Zenin was very dissatisfied with Zenin's behavior, but he also knew Zenin's true thoughts. It is nothing more than putting pressure on others through the outside world, letting others know that Zenin Shinsuke lost to Gojo Ming again, and at the same time emphasizing the strength of Zenin Shinji as a basis for his competition. However, Zenin probably didn't expect. Public opinion in the Jujutsu world focused more on themselves and Zenin's defeat at the hands of Zenin Shear. More attention is paid to Zenin's Zanpakuto Kaden Kwanko, which can release strange shadow spells. Not many people paid attention to the fact that Zenin Shinsuke once again lost to Gojo Naru. Even if they paid attention to this, they paid more attention to Gojo Naru's Zanpakuto Soda Shirayuki's third technique. Zenin made a mistake this time. If he hadn't revealed all this information, but only leaked the news about the battle between Gojo Ming and Zenin Shinsuke, perhaps this would have been a greater blow to Zenin Shinsuke. After all, now, Zenin Shinsuke has become an insignificant presence in the entire Jujutsu world, and no one cares. However, in fact, Zenin, who is not very talented in magic, is the same in the outside world. Now when it comes to Zenin Shinsuke, others can still think of him as a Zenin genius who lost to Gojo Ming twice. Moreover, as Gojo Naruto's reputation grows, Zenin Shinsuke's defeat at the hands of Gojo Naruto is actually not that shameful. But what about Zenin? Except for the insiders of the Zenin family, outsiders will not pay attention at all. Even outsiders may not know that he is Zenin's brother. What Zenin did this time had little effect, and even exposed the narrowness of his vision. After all, this is the time when the prestige of the Zenin family is most needed to be improved. Zenin has squandered the prestige of the Zenin family for his own selfish desires. At this point, his way to compete for the throne has been blocked. Can't Zenin see that even Zenin fan has given up competing with him at this time? Looking at Zenin with a rough face and a smile on his face, Zenin's neighbor calmly shook his head. However, one thing is that Zenin's incident really gave Zenin the confidence to do so. Before the Zenin family could not subdue Zenin Shear, Zenin Junni was Zenin Shear's biological brother, and the family could not touch him at will. He already has his own thoughts in his mind. In the days to come, he will slowly put aside Zenin and take back the rights he had previously given to Zenin. Now, Zenin's most important goal is to bring Zenin back into the family. There is no doubt about the power of Zenin. Whether it is to study this Zanpakuto or to study Zenin's powerful body, the prerequisite is that Zenin returns to the family. I hope Zenin can handle the last thing he asked. Shinur, I'll leave all the preparations for the construction of Wanshiwu to you. The money will be regarded as your shares. If you make money in the future, you will still be given dividends. Gojo was salivating at the amount of money Zenin had. Although the money may not buy a Zanpakuto at all, but after all, it is impossible for him to actually sell the Zanpakuto for money. In terms of wealth he has seen, at the age of only 6, he has indeed seen too little. I don't know when I will be able to achieve financial freedom. Zenin Shear nodded. The house of everything has now become the most concerned thing in his heart. He is now also thinking about how to build the prototype of the everything house as quickly as possible. After communicating with Zenin about the master house, Gojo Ming began to think about the future. During this time, he completed the forging of Gojo Satoru and Zenin Shear's Zanpakuto. Everything went according to his plan. With the blessing of the Zanpakuto, the strength of Gojo Satoru and Zenin Shear increased accordingly. According to the current situation in the Jujutsu world, Zenin should be considered the top combat power of the entire Neon. In the future, when Gojo Satoru grows up, his brother will also become a big figure. With the existence of Senbon Sakura, Gojo Satoru should be the one who can legitimately rule the world, right? However, with all his crazy bones, Zenin might be stronger. Before he understood the reversal technique, Satoru probably couldn't defeat him. With two of the most powerful guards on the left and right, I should be able to sit back and relax. However, thinking of this, Gojo Ming frowned slightly, and felt that he was missing something. This state of being protected was not what he wanted. My talent is not very weak. After all, he is also a time traveler, with system plugins, the same 6 eyes as Gojo Satoru, the same heavenly restriction as Zenin, and the 4 skills of Zanpakuto and Zankinzuki. No matter how you look at it, I'm probably not the type to eat Gojo Satoru and Zenin. Next, it seems that he should pay more attention to improving his abilities. Improving your Zankinzuki requires a gradual process, but the Zanpakuto is the best way to quickly improve your strength. Senbon Sakura and Hanaden Kwangu make Gojo Satoru and Zenin even more powerful. So, what kind of Zanpakuto should I forge for myself? Holding Sota Shirayuki in his hand, the coldness of the blade made Gojo Naru's mind very clear. If it comes to Zanpakuto, no one should be able to get around that Zanpakuto, right? Close black lens bracket. Now that I have an ice-type Zanpakuto, it shouldn't be too much to get a fire-type Zanpakuto, right? Close black lens bracket. A charred sword appeared in Gojo Ming's mind. If you can really forge this sword, you can basically become invincible. He is fully proficient in both ice and fire tachi and slashing fists and walking ghosts. He should be able to be regarded as a real god of death. Gojo Ming's heart was suddenly filled with anticipation. Soda Shirayuki was the first Zanpakuto that I tried to forge. Senbon Sakura, Hanaden Kwanko, and Kiyomizu were all Zanpakuto that I forged for others. Now, at this moment, I should also think about myself. The Zanpakuto that Gojo Ming wants to own most at this time is naturally the most powerful fire-type Zanpakuto in the entire Soul Society, the one held by the captain of the Gote 13th Division, Yamamoto Genryanagi Sai Shigekuni. The blade is like fire. If he can forge the Rukinwaka, then it basically means that he should be able to forge all Zanpakuto in the entire Soul Society. However, it is not easy to find a cursed tool that adapts to Ryer and Wakahuo. I have observed the Gojo families and Zenin's family's Jiku so far, but unfortunately, not even a fire-type cursed tool has appeared. It has to be said that in this regard, the world of Cursed Return and the world of Death are quite consistent. Fire-related items or abilities are very rare. Therefore, it will definitely not be easy to find suitable materials on your own this time. Now, I should be qualified to make requests to the head of the family, right? Not only did I train a first-level Jujutsu master for the family, but I also forged Zanpakuto for Uncle Satoru and Shun. The most important thing is to help the Gojo family gain Zenin's friendship. The fact that Zenin defeated Zenin Zibi and Zenin Shan will definitely make the Gojo family realize the strength of their side. In other words, no current Jujutsu master in the Gojo family is a match for Zenin, even Gojo Satoru, who possesses 6 eyes and unlimited techniques. Everything Gojo Ming has done so far is because of his confidence. Since the Gojo family and the Zenin family don't have such material in their treasury, let the head of the family look for it for him. At the same time, in the head of the Gojo family's room, Gojo-chan is reporting to the old man the situation after investigating from the high-level Imperial Library. In this room, Gojo Shunny and Gojo Zui also knelt down silently and listened carefully. Is that really the case? The old man sighed and looked up at the petri dish placed aside. Since the 9th cursed fetus has been stolen, this one should be the burning phase in the 9-phase diagram of the cursed fetus. I originally thought that the top 3 special grade cursed objects were the most special among the 9-phase diagram, but I never thought that this 9th cursed fetus would also have something special. Gojo nodded instantly and said, "Before Hu Che attacked Master Ming, I met him once, but I didn't notice anything strange about him. According to Hu Che's route during that period, it was normal for at least 3 days, and there was no chance of becoming a burner. Receive the flesh. This also means that the burning phase controlled Kotetsu for at least 3 days, and no one was aware of it during these 3 days." Gojo Shunichi's analysis was approved by everyone. Gojo-chan, who returned from the high school investigation, said with a serious face. Obviously, because they were not special grade cursed objects, the other 6 cursed fetuses did not receive the attention of the sealing personnel at the time. This also gave the people behind the scenes the opportunity to replace them. However, there are 6 cursed fetuses from the 4th to the 9th. They only replace the burning phase of the 9th cursed fetus. I'm afraid this is also because the fire phase has such an exaggerated hidden ability. The old man nodded slightly and said to Gojo instantly, "Ask Shang Yan to come over. I have something to tell him." Gojo frowned briefly. "Elder Shang Yan, is it okay to let him participate in this kind of thing? After all, it is something that is not good for Master Ming." Elder Shang Yan's position. Gojo was about to speak but stopped. The old man shook his head, his face full of calm. Shang Yan is now the representative of the Gojo family, so he naturally has the right to know. And since Ming allowed Shang Yan to take this position, Shang Yan must also be prepared to take responsibility. Don't worry, Shunyi. Shang Yan sits in the acting position, he must be thinking about the Gojo family. The moment Satoru obtained the Zanpakuto Senbon Sakura, Naru's position in the entire Gojo family was already unbreakable. "Satoru, let's go find the head of the family." Catching Gojo Satoru who was lazing around, Gojo Naru immediately prepared to take this cheap brother with him. "Farewell, Ming, I'm exhausted, let me rest." Gojo Satoru's 6 eyes is filled with exhaustion. Gojo Ming can avoid Zenin's taijutsu training by forging Zanpakuto and studying Zanpakuto. But he can't, because Shunyi was away on business. He became Zenin's only target. In addition, without Shoko's treatment, he basically suffered from back pain and scars every day. It's rare today that Zenin took the initiative to leave Gojo's house after communicating with Gojo Ming, so Gojo Satoru wanted to take a good rest right now. You're only 6 years old and you're so old-fashioned. What should you do in the future? Come on, I need the head of the family's help to find some materials now. Gojo Ming would not let his cheap brother mess around. Material. Hearing this word, Gojo Satoru's eyes lit up, but his expression remained suspicious. Ming, are you ready to start forging again? No, it hasn't been a few days, hasn't it? Gojo Satoru also felt something was wrong when he thought about the time between Gojo Ming's forgings. After all, Huaishin Quangu had just been born not long ago, so Ming shouldn't be so anxious to forge the next one, right? Oh, a look of surprise appeared on Gojo Satoru's face. Is it the Zanpakuto that was promised to Shoko before? I said you have bad intentions, Shoko is so big. Seeing that Gojo Satoru was 6 years old and had already begun to develop towards human enlightenment, Gojo Naru punched Gojo Satoru directly in the abdomen and knocked back all his next words. Get up quickly. This time I am going to forge a Zanpakuto for myself, not for anyone else. I will forge the most stunning Zanpakuto for you to see. Speaking of this, Gojo Satoru suddenly became interested. The most attractive. Don't be ridiculous. You have seen Senbon Sakura's style yourself. Huaishin Quangu can't compare with Senbon Sakura. It's hard to imagine that there are other Zanpakuto that are more gorgeous than Senbon Sakura. Gojo Ming fell into silence. If you really want to talk about it, the blade like fire is actually a bit ugly, but it can't stand up to the power of other people's spells. When everything turns into a sea of fire with a wave of your hand, who cares whether the Zanpakuto can pull the wind or not? Moreover, in Gojo Ming's heart, the residual fire after the swastika is the most handsome Zanpakuto in his heart. Are you leaving or not? Gojo Naru came out of his memories and glared at Gojo Satoru. Okay, I understand, let's go, let's go. Gojo Satoru stood up reluctantly, but since this time it was about Ming's Zanpakuto, he should be more careful. Gojo Satoru also wanted to see what the Zanpakuto that Gojo Naru chose for himself looked like as a sword forger. The head room of the Gojo family. Master Wu, Master Ming. The master of the house is talking to Master Shang Yan in the house, please wait a moment. The moment the servant's voice fell, the door behind him was opened. Gojo Shang Yan's face was as dark as water, and he was in a very unhappy mood. Seeing Gojo Satoru and Gojo Ming standing at the door, he was a little surprised. If Gojo Satoru was alone, this would be normal, but with Gojo Ming, it was a bit unexpected. After all, Gojo Ming has never taken the initiative to seek help from the family head in the 6 years since he was born. The master of the house is inside, you go in. Gojo Shang Yan nodded to Gojo Satoru. His gaze stayed on Gojo Ming's body for a few seconds, and a trace of complexity flashed in his eyes. In the end, he still didn't say hello to Gojo Ming and turned around to leave. Entering the room, Gojo heard an old and hoarse voice. Our cursed tool forging master is here, a rare visitor. There was a hint of teasing in the old man's first words. Gojo Ming's expression froze, and he suddenly felt that the atmosphere at this time was not suitable for him to enter. The communication between Gojo Shang Yan and the head of the family just now was probably related to him. However, thinking that if he wanted to forge Rukin Wakahu, he still had to rely on the strength of the family leader, Gojo felt heartbroken and followed Gojo Satoru in as if nothing had happened. As for what the old man just said, he simply ignored it. However, it is a pity that Gojo Ming did not answer the conversation himself, but the old man could answer the conversation on his own. The acting president just told me that there is a very unharmonious saying in the family, saying that you are siding with the enemy. The fact that Zenin even betrayed the Zenin family has aroused discussion among our family members. Originally, I didn't want to worry about it so much, but Zenin has been spending time with you recently, and there seems to be rumors that Zenin is going to join the Gojo family. The old man coughed lightly and asked with a smile. Who can tell me whether this is true or false? Hearing the old man's words, Gojo Ming suddenly felt a chill. The relationship between him and Zenin Shear is indeed very good now, but it is not to the point where Zenin Shear can change his surname and join. We are not Hui's mother, so how can we have the capital to attract Zenin to marry into our family? False, nonsense. Gojo Ming made a cross sign to the head of the family with both hands in front of his chest. Don't say that Shear wants to join the Gojo family. Judging from the current situation, the Zenin family doesn't even have the idea of holding Shear responsible. Obviously, the Zenin family will not give up on Shear. Who wouldn't treat a person of this level as a treasure? It's a pity that the Zenin family woke up a little late. But, sir, no matter how much you think about it, Zenin will never even join the Gojo family. To be honest, the Gojo family is not much better than the Zenin family. A character like Shear will not be bound by a family. He will find the freedom he wants. Seeing that Gojo Ming realized what he was thinking and blocked it with words in advance, the old man shook his head helplessly. How great would it be if a character who could defeat Zenin and Zenin could join the Gojo family? Zenin's betrayal of the Zenin family caused an uproar among many Jujutsu master families. In the Gojo family, most people agree with the view that Zenin's ability to defeat Zenin Shan and Zenin Naohito was entirely due to the special pair of Zanpakuto that Gojo forged for him. Without this Zanpakuto that can use shadow magic, Zeninji would never have been able to win. Therefore, many members of the Gojo family, while adhering to this view, are full of complaints about Gojo Ming. In their opinion, Gojo could give this Zanpakuto to anyone, so why should he give it to Zenin, a person who does not belong to the Gojo family? If someone hadn't pulled him away, someone would have come to Gojo to ask for an explanation. After roughly explaining the current situation of the family to Gojo Ming, the old man squinted his eyes and smiled strangely. So, is it because of the Zanpakuto called Hanakuden Kwanko? Or is it because of his own strength? The latter. Gojo Ming's answer was very firm. The Zanpakuto he forged for Zenin was more of an icing on the cake. Even without Huaishin Kwangu, Zenin Zibiran and Zenin Fan would not be Zenin Shire's opponent. Oh, why, Ming, why are you so sure? There was also a trace of curiosity on the wrinkled face of the old man. Gojo Ming seemed to have been very fond of Zenin from the beginning, and the first time he drew his sword to fight was also because of Zenin. What on earth influenced Gojo Ming to make such a decision? Facing the family leader's request for advice, Gojo Ming did not hide it and directly revealed the secret of heavenly restriction. Jin'er's heavenly restriction is the most extreme kind. The completely zero spell power brings natural resistance to the spell power, as well as the physical strength of being at the pinnacle of human beings. You can be considered the most powerful human being at present. Gojo Ming came to the conclusion that at least as a person, Zenin has achieved the ultimate. A flash of understanding flashed in the old man's eyes. So, Naru, your heavenly restriction. Me, my physical strength will also stand at the top of mankind in the future. Gojo Ming's words made the smile on the old man's face grow stronger. Ming, I believe you. You have already given me enough surprises. The future Gojo family will be left to you and Satoru, so I can rest assured. The old man stopped asking any more questions about Zenin. He was originally very envious of such a person, but now that he knows that Gojo Ming has the same body, he is relieved. If Zenin Shear is really allowed to join the Gojo family, it will cause more turmoil in the family. Both the Zenin family and the Gojo family should be dissatisfied. So, Naru, why did you and Satoru come to me together? Master, I want to apply for some cursed tools. Gojo Ming responded promptly. Cursed tool. The old man's eyes lit up. Are you planning to continue forging Zanpakuto? Gojo Ming nodded. But this time the Zanpakuto is a little special, so I need help from adults. It's okay, it's okay. If you need anything, just go to Jiku and get it yourself. I will give you permission. The old man felt a little embarrassed when he saw Gojo Ming working so hard. The person in front of me is just a 6-year-old child, not an old scalper, not an adult. He originally thought that Gojo Ming would take a short rest after forging, but he never thought that the next time he started the furnace would be so fast. Sir, what I want is not available in Jiku. Gojo Ming shrugged. If Gojo had these in his family's treasure house, he would have taken them out long ago. Why do he still need to come here to ask the old man for help? The old man's expression froze and he laughed twice. We don't have what you need in our library. Gojo Ming nodded. Our Gojo family's inventory is quite large, but many things are missing. Previously, the materials for Senbon Sakura and Hueishin Kwangu all came from the Zenin family's inventory. Sir, the Gojo family has not done a good job in this regard. Gojo Ming looked like he hated the Gojo family for not fighting. If there were enough materials in the library, he might have created a batch of Zanpakuto and cultivated a bunch of experience packs, right? When you get the Rukenwakatsu by yourself, you must go on a Zanpakuto sale and use all the special materials in Gojo's family library to forge the sword. It is true that our family does not attach as much importance to cursed tool as the Kamo family and the Zenin family. The old man nodded and coughed. Then tell me, Ming, what kind of materials do you need? I can help you get some. I've been rambling here and there, but the ultimate goal is this sentence. Fire-type cursed tool. The higher the quality, the better. Comma. In the evening, the forge was opened again. With the impact of this period of time, many Gojo family members have discovered a pattern. The opening of the forge furnace means that a Zanpakuto will be born. Master Ming is really very productive. Master Ming forged 4 such special Zanpakuto cursed tools in just 2 months. I wonder who is Master Ming forging this time. You can't forge it for others anyway. You can never give a sacred object like the Zanpakuto to someone from another family again. This Zanpakuto was forged by Master Ming. He should have his own right to dispose of it, right? Master Ming is first a member of the Gojo family, and then he becomes an independent individual. After leaving the family, the individual will lose its nutrients. But isn't it true that Zenin has left the Zenin family? Quote. Master Ming can't leak the Zanpakuto anymore anyway. In the Gojo family mansion, similar conversations occur one after another. In the hearts of almost everyone in the Gojo family, Gojo Ming has become an indispensable presence for the entire family. Gojo's ultimate spirit Ryu Dojo. Many Jiiliu disciples subconsciously looked in the direction of the forging house. Although it was remote, it had become a place that every Jiiliu disciple longed for. Every Kyokushin Ryu disciple has this fantasy in his heart. Suddenly one day, he can be called to the door of the forging house, and Master Gojo Ming gives them a Zanpakuto. Grandpa, are you going to let it go like this? Gojo Shueni looked at Gojo Shangyan and didn't understand why his grandfather was not as clear-cut as before after becoming the acting representative. The theoretical basis of their faction is the twin curse. Now, Gojo Ming has begun to be deluded from the curse theory. In this case, their faction will lose the meaning of existence. Gojo Shangyan touched his chin, looked at the forging house from a distance, and recalled the scene when he was surrounded by Senbon Sakura. The wonders of cherry blossoms in winter. Zanyi, do you still remember? Gojo Shueni nodded doubtfully. I believe that every Gojo family member who has seen the scene that happened not long ago will never forget it. Grandpa, are you talking about Master Satoru's Senbon Sakura? Every time Senbon Sakura is mentioned, Gojo will be shocked from the bottom of his heart. The sight of thousands of petals flying in the sky completely subverts his understanding of Zanpakuto. Zanyi, remember, at any time, strength is the backing of everything. For the weak, the family is your backing. However, for the strong, the family may often be more of a hindrance. I'm looking forward to it. What kind of scene will Gojo Ming prepare for all the audiences next? Gojo Shueni seemed to understand, but he could clearly sense that his grandfather, the most staunch adherent of the Gemini curse sect, had wavered in his position. Are you ready to start forging so soon? After Zenin learned that Gojo Ming was going to forge the Zanpakuto again, he immediately put down his work at the master house. Can your body handle it now? Zenin remembered that Gojo Ming had rested for a few days between forging Senbon Sakura and Hueishin Kwangu. Now, Gojo Ming was preparing to continuously forge Zanpakuto, which he did not expect. Looking at Zenin's indifferent expression and listening to Zenin's caring words, Gojo Ming felt that the man in front of him was really in contrast, but Zenin's performance also showed his importance in his heart. However, the matter of flowing blade Ruahuo must also be put on the agenda. This Zanpakuto is extremely difficult to forge. I'm just going to give it a try. However, the probability of failure is also very high. Gojo Ming weighed the materials in his hands and felt uncertain. After communicating with the owner today, the corresponding cursed tool was delivered in the afternoon. Although there are very few fire-type cursed tools, the Gojo family is still one of the big 3 sorcerer families and has its own path. But I don't know why, when Gojo Ming looks at these cursed tools in front of him, he always feels uncomfortable. Therefore, when the furnace was opened this time, he himself did not know what the result would be. Then why don't you take some rest? Gojo Shunichi on the side also added with concern. He already knew from the exchange with Gojo Satoru that this Zanpakuto was prepared for him by Gojo Ming. Therefore, he also hopes that Gojo Ming can forge a Zanpakuto that is shocking enough. Can't rest. Gojo Ming shook his head. Taking advantage of the current energy, he might still have a slight chance of successful forging. If he really rested, then the chance of forging a Rukin Ruahuo based on these materials would be almost non-existent. Okay, let's get started. Gojo Satoru didn't make any move to persuade. He knew that Gojo Ming had his own reasons for doing this. All he had to do was believe it. As the clanging sound sounded, the hearts of the entire Gojo family were filled with anticipation. With the Gojo family as the center, the entire Jujutsu world is also affected. Zenin home. The 2 brothers, Naoki and Shinji, looked at each other and shook their heads silently. If Gojo Naru was really so productive, they really felt that there would be no need to compete with the Gojo family in the future. Ieri family. Shoko, you didn't catch up this time. Next time, you must watch the sword forging next to Gojo Ming. Ieri Inamitsu became furious when she saw her daughter stuffing herself with snacks to look like a little hamster. But when I think about it, it does have something to do with me. If I don't relent today and send Shoko directly, Gojo Ming may be able to remember more clearly that he wants to forge a Zanpakuto for Shoko. What's so interesting about forging? It's so boring. Ieri Shoko was eating potato chips while chatting with Ieri Inamitsu about the scene of Gojo Naru's forging. She never understood why Gojo Satoru, Zenin, and Gojo Shunny could concentrate on watching Gojo hammer for an hour. Can anyone interpret it? Do men really like watching forged weapons? Ieri Inamitsu sighed. What does a little girl like you know about the happiness between men? Hurry up and let Gojo Ming remember the promise he made to you. Kamo home. Gojo Naru, this little brat, turned on the furnace again in such a short time. How is that possible? Kamo's expression changed. He is still planning when to visit Zenin's house to learn about the situation of the burning phase. Unexpectedly, it has only been a while since Gojo Ming turned on the stove again. According to the previous 2 openings, Senbon Sakura and Hueishin Kwangu were born respectively. So what about this time, will it be such a powerful cursed tool again? Thinking of this, Kamo was really filled with anxiety. If this continued, he really didn't know how to maintain his position in the association. It will definitely fail this time. Kamo really had such an idea in his heart. But the next second, Kamo himself didn't believe it. After all, Gojo Ming's record of forging Chingchong, Senbon Sakura and Hueishin Kwangu was too impressive. This has led most people to believe that Gojo Ming's technology in forging Zanpakuto has reached perfection. Despite what he said, Gojo Ming will fail in forging this time. However, Kamo really still recognized Gojo Ming's authority in forging the Zanpakuto. And in another corner of the Jujutsu world, a handsome and sassy-looking woman was sitting at the conference table, her face full of contemplation. Kaori, we must not allow things like the Zanpakuto to continue to strengthen the power of Jujutsu masters. Since the birth of Gojo's 6 eyes, the intensity of curse in the entire world has also increased. We began to hibernate according to the prophecy, but if this continues, where is the soil for us curse users to survive in this world? A middle-aged man's face was full of dissatisfaction, and the cassock he wore showed his identity as a monk. This man's name is Akazawa Shusaku, one of the top executives of the curse user group. This time, it was a small curse user meeting. However, all the people who can attend are senior executives of curse user. The entire conference is actually analogous to the Jujutsu Masters Association in the Jujutsu world. However, the number of curse users is far less than that of Jujutsu Masters, which makes the entire association look small. Everyone else in the round table meeting also followed Akazawa Shusaku's gaze and looked at the woman named Kaori. The woman's expression was still very calm, and a faint smile appeared on her thoughtful face. Zanpakuto, I've heard about this thing recently. It seems to be a cursed tool that can use spells. It just appeared this year, right? Kaori nodded, glanced around, and continued. I will learn about this matter. You can continue to hibernate and develop your strength. After all, the power of the Gojo family is not something you can resist. Furthermore, isn't this the purpose of your impromptu meeting? To let me help you find out the reality of the Zanpakuto. The corners of Kaori's mouth raised slightly, giving her a playful smile. After she finished speaking, everyone else around smiled awkwardly. This is indeed their purpose, but as long as everyone maintains a tacit understanding, it will be fine. It's not that they are cowards, but the Gojo family, one of the big three sorcerer families, is indeed strong enough. Only the woman in front of them has the ability to complete this task. After all, when this woman named Kaori broke into the meeting, she directly defeated all their curse users. At present, the entire Curse User Association can say that the strongest curse user is the woman in front of them. Seeing that everyone was silent, Kaori also felt very bored. She stood up, looked around, and turned to leave. The moment he turned his head, a faint suture line was exposed under the scattered bangs. The name of the woman in front of me is pronounced Kaori, but it is actually written. At night, the moon was high in the sky, but many members of the Gojo family had not yet fallen asleep. They were still paying attention to the situation in the forging house, for fear of missing the scene of the successful forging of the Zanpakuto after falling asleep. Similarly, Gojo Ming's forging also affects the hearts of other forces. However, at the same time, in the forging room, Gojo Ming's expression was very helpless. The forging time this time was extremely long. One of the two fire-type cursed tools that the family owner found for him had failed to be forged. At this time, Gojo Ming was making his second attempt. Clang! With the final blow of the hammer, Gojo Ming put down the blade in his hand and sighed. The forging was not successful. As Gojo Ming said these words, everyone's faces were very shocked. As outsiders, they have obviously felt the sharpness and heat in this sword embryo. According to the previous situation, it should be a matter of course for the Zanpakuto to take shape, right? This scene is different from Gojo Ming's failed attempts for a month. At that time, Gojo Ming had not yet figured out the way, and was more trying. But this time, everything went normally, but it was just one step short in the end. Seeing the regret on everyone's faces, Gojo Ming smiled. Maybe the Zanpakuto I want to forge is too powerful, so it's natural that I don't want it to be forged so easily. Gojo Ming, who failed to forge, comforted Gojo Satoru and others. Is it because of the problem with these cursed tool materials? As a blacksmith master, Gojo Zui immediately noticed the strangeness of the whole process. When Gojo Ming was hammering the blade, the closer he got to the end, the less he dared to strike, as if he was worried that the next strike would destroy the material. Obviously, the quality of these two cursed tools used as materials is too low. Although they have the characteristics of fire system, they are still not enough to serve as the carrier of Gojo Ming's Zanpakuto. Isn't level 2 cursed tool okay? Then to forge this Zanpakuto, you also need level 1 cursed tool. Gojo Satoru's words silenced everyone present. They are not new to cursed tools, so they naturally know how rare the fire-type cursed tools are. These two second-level cursed tools were probably obtained by the Gojo family head through connections. If this is really the case, then it may take some time for this Zanpakuto to be released. Let's break up. We're tired today. Let's take a good rest. We'll talk about it later. Gojo Ming waved everyone away. The flames in the forge were completely extinguished and silence fell. I'm afraid there is still some gap between what Satoru said. To truly forge the Rukin Ruahuo, I'm afraid a special grade cursed tool is needed to complete it. However, I have never heard of cursed tool of this level. However, don't be anxious, just look for it slowly. Since the Zanpakuto path is temporarily impassable, let's break through Haku first. Close black lens bracket. Looking at the nearly full experience bar in his system, Gojo Ming nodded with satisfaction. Recently, the Gojo Satoru experience pack has been very practical and saved a lot of time. I feel like in a few days, I should be able to complete my vein breakthrough and start learning Shunpo. Just like that, Gojo Ming fell asleep with anticipation. While he was sleeping, the entire Gojo family and the entire Jujutsu world were once again engulfed in all kinds of comments. Master Ming's fire went out. But the Zanpakuto's vision appeared. Did it fail? It's impossible. There is a problem with the forging. Someone just asked about it. Master Ming gave up forging today. This must not be Master Ming's problem, there must be something wrong with other aspects. Perhaps, this is God warning Master Ming not to hand over his Zanpakuto to others at will. Our Gojo family is the truly chosen family. Zenin home. Zenin fan and Zenin people breathed a sigh of relief at the same time after hearing the news of Gojo Ming's forging failure. If Gojo Ming can really forge a Zanpakuto so quickly, then the pressure on the Zenin family will be even greater. ZB people, what do you say to Zenin? Are you willing to come back? It's difficult. Sheer has had his own opinions since he was a child, otherwise he wouldn't have concealed his strength for so long. Thinking of the previous experience of being instantly killed by Zenin, both Zenin and Zenin were a little hard to face. Although there is no necessary connection between Zenin and Gojo Ming, they were still relieved to see Gojo Ming make a mistake. At this point, the Zenin family can only entertain themselves here. Kamo home. Gojo Ming Xiaobui's forging failed. Hearing the news, Kamo really blew his beard, his eyes filled with excitement. As long as Gojo Naru is not always successful, then he is not invincible and will have weaknesses. Kamo can really imagine that if Gojo Ming fails again in the future, how high he was praised at the beginning will be how hard he will fall in the future. Perhaps, this is the reason why Gojo Ming fell from a high place. He forged so many Zanpakuto by himself, which is beyond common sense. Kamo really slowly calmed down. Since Gojo Ming's forging failed, he can just wait and see what happens. However, Gojo Ming was not killed by the fire phase, which was somewhat beyond Kamo's expectation. If this continues, he won't be able to delay Gojo Zui's proposal. Going to Gojo's house has become a real necessity for Kamo. Whether it's to recycle the burnt phase, or to check whether Gojo Ming meets the criteria for promotion. Grandpa, Gojo Ming's forging failed this time. After this news, Gojo Xuanyi congratulated Gojo Xiongyan. As long as Gojo Ming's forging failed, then Gojo Xiongyan's pressure should not be so great. Ever since Gojo Ming forged Senbon Sakura for Gojo Satoru, many clan members have been putting pressure on their grandfather. Now, it is rare to see Gojo Ming frustrated, but Gojo Xuanyi's mood is much more exciting. Zanyi. Gojo Xiongyan's deep voice sounded. If Gojo Naruto continues to fail, this will be the biggest loss to the Gojo family. He won't give up so easily. The head of the family has a right saying, the future of the Gojo family lies with Gojo Ming and Gojo Satoru. Gojo looked at his grandfather in shock. Such words would have no shocking effect from anyone. However, when these words were spoken from the mouth of Gojo Xiongyan, the leader of the Gemini Curse sect and the modern leader of the Gojo family, the implications were too great. And when many big families were talking about it. In the remote Yagayu family mansion, Yagayu Hidetsuji invited an ancient scroll from the ancestral hall. Yagayu Yusuke nodded slightly, Yagayu Zeman looked serious. This is the Tsuki no Sho that records the entire history of Yagayu Shinen Ryu Kendo techniques. On the night when Gojo Ming's forging failed, the Yagayu family made the decision to trade the Tsuki no Sho with Gojo Ming for a Zanpakuto. Thanks for watching, please like and subscribe.